Hello and welcome back to another episode of Unleashing Your Potential. I hope you're having a blessed and fantastic day wherever you're at in the world, and if you're not, well, it's possible that you can. If you haven't yet subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, and I would appreciate a like. You might say, well, Chris, but I haven't even listened to your podcast episode. How am I going to give you a like? Well, it's kind of like, you kind of get what you give in life. So if you give a little nice gesture, you might have a nice gesture coming to you. My aim is always to provide high quality information that can help my listener to evolve themselves to a better state or version of themselves in this moment as they move into the future. I like to talk about alternating topics based on some things could be based on speculation. It could be based on very concrete evidence. Sometimes it's a little bit mixed. So the user is got to kind of, when I say user, I mean the listener, has got to kind of use the information as it pertains to their particular situation. So what I'm going to kind of speak about today is why is it hard to get out of the rut? You've all been there, I'm sure. Everybody at some point in their life has been in like a rut to where we feel that we're just kind of stuck. The best way I can explain this rut is whenever I'm in a survival mode, I feel like I'm whenever you go fishing and you have those little weights and they bob over the water until a fish bites, and when a fish bites, it kind of brings it into the water and it just bobs above the water until it gets pulled under. A lot of times when we're in survival mode, we kind of feel like we're just kind of bobbing in life until we get pulled under. And sometimes when we get pulled under, we call that rock bottom. That rock bottom is a hard place to be at, hard to breathe, hard to just see any way out. But you know what? If we looked at logic and, like I said, speculation and things, and as they work, if I were to throw a coin up in the air, it's gonna fall down. And it would be the same as if I were to throw a rock, but if I were to throw a big boulder, it would be the same. The only difference would be the rate and the speed of my ability to throw it and how fast and quickly it comes to the ground. If I think about a penny, I can throw a penny relatively high, and it's going to come as quickly as it can to the ground based on this weight and this velocity as it falls to the ground. We could probably calculate it based on height. Everything's calculable into numbers and sequences that we can understand. If I were to get a brick, I probably couldn't throw the brick as high, but when it comes down, it might be doing more damage when it hits. But what goes up also comes down. Now, if I were to get a cinder block and throw it, it may not go as high, but when it comes down, it could come down with a lot of force and a quick speed velocity. What does all this even mean? You might say, well, why are you talking about throwing things up and down and rock bottom? Because it's all connected. So when you're in rock bottom and you're in a rock bottom place, you're either in a penny, you're in a rock, or you're in a cinder block. Meaning your velocity to the situation and to rise above it might be easier, it might be harder. But also the speed and recovery and movement of that thing will also match accordingly. Let's say you're just down because you twisted your ankle. Well, that would be a physical thing that you would need to get over. So you might have to, kind of be small step progress, kind of like a penny. The penny goes up and down relatively easy, and the progress is steady. You wouldn't want to be too many big jumps, as you would risk re-injuring or breaking it once again, metaphorically speaking. If you were to, let's say, break your entire leg, not just your ankle, and now you have a leg cast on, it's going to take you longer, so you'd probably be like that rock. You couldn't move with as much force into your recovery. And your recovery, as it coming down, the rock's coming down, it's going to have a equally painful force as it goes through the process of having to cast, removing the cast, using crutches when needed. This is all metaphorically speaking. As it relates to the example, now we move on to the cinder block, and the cinder block we throw up may not be as high up because it's heavier, but it's going to come down harder. Now in life, if you broke both your legs and you're in a wheelchair, well, now it's like that big heavy cinder block. It's going to be a longer road, slower road to recovery, but it's going to be more impactful when you can finally stand up. Do you see what I'm saying? So we get caught in a repetitive rut of rock bottom without realizing that there's different levels to what we call rock bottom, and those are shaped, ingrained, and made by us mentally. If we can realize that mentally we're either in the penny, the rock, or the cinder block mentality of our recovery, then we know that there is a road up, and the road up is always going to be matched to its velocity and its movement. So don't ever think that rock bottom is always a bad thing. Rock bottom could be one of the most beautiful things that you ever saw, because when you hit rock bottom, there's only one place to go, and that's up. However, I must break the bad news, as there's that unfortunate programming that we were born with. Unfortunately, if you were born in a lower income area and you grew up worried about money, and money was a factor, then you're going to always be like that line of the fish, just bobbing until you feel like you're going to go under. And sometimes we've gone under in that mentality, and we've been down and out. We've been able to bounce back. But what we don't, and we fail often, I believe, to realize, is that by going through this is like the best training grounds you could possibly have if you have the right mentality approach. So you can see yourself as a penny, as a rock, and as a cinder block, and you can see that every time you're growing and overcoming, you're growing, and you're never the same. It's never the same toss. The journey is never the same. You always have a different mode of attack, of movement. You become resilient, powerful, and strong. Because of your hardships, it's making you rise stronger and quicker and faster. But you got to take the action. You got to realize that, hey, you know what? I'm down, but I'm not out. You know, and when you're up, you got to realize I'm up, and be humble, because one day you may be down. You will be down. So you must always take that attitude of gratitude into wherever you're at. Whether you're feeling like you're in the rut, you should be grateful that you have the opportunity to be in that rut, to climb out of that rut and use new velocity, new speed, new approach, new mindset, new attack, just to get to where you want to be at, to fall again, to realize that the rut is where the life experience is lived. Imagine if you were a baseball team, and every game you went to, you knew you were going to win. No matter what the circumstances were, you knew you were going to win. Every time you played, you knew you were going to win, and there was no question about it. Would you ever go even watch your game? I mean, would it even have any meaning? You know you're going to win, so what does it even matter? You're going to go out there, you're going to sit and watch yourself win again for the 150th time, and then, hey, guess what? I was going to go to the game next week. Yeah, I wonder who's going to win. Well, fuck, I know who's going to win. I'm going to win because I win every time. What would happen in the world if it was like that? Oh, you would say, well, I'd have a great life because I always be winning. But what happens when you lose? What goes up comes down. It's the velocity, the speed. You start winning so much, you start forgetting about the other people that are down there that are still losing in life, and you realize that the winning and the losing and the up and the down is a matter of emotion, and they're just in a rut where they just can't get out of. So maybe they can hear something, they can see something, they can do something that can help them. Maybe you can put your hand down and pick them up. And maybe they don't want to get up. Maybe they just want to lie and stay down there, and maybe they want to pull you in the pit with them. Does that mean you don't lift them? Maybe. You see, because protecting your own space of mind is not selfish. It's not wrong. It's not wrong to say, I want to protect my space of mind. And if you're not with it, then you're against it. Because my down is down, and I must see a way up so I don't stay bobbing in this fucking water no more. Metaphorically speaking. The survival mode must drive growth. It must drive perseverance. It must drive courage. It must drive belief. Otherwise, it's just driving you to an earlier grave. This is all real stuff, man. This is not like I'm just blowing smoke. Everybody has been in between a rock and a hard place at some point in their life. And you will be there again. But don't fear it. Don't avoid it. And don't criticize others that are in it. Realize that it's a state of being that is part of our evolution. You wouldn't want to go to a game where you won every game, and you wouldn't want to go to a game where you lose every game. You want a little bit of that what if factor. The what if factor builds things, creates worlds, destroys them. What if? What if you succeed? But I'm going to fail so many times. But what if the one time you succeed? Because if by law what goes down goes up and what goes up goes down, I never heard of a person who was always trying to go up that kept going down, that didn't succeed at some point. Believe in yourself. You must change that subconscious program. You must insert new floppy disks in your mind and erase the old one. It's not going to be easy. It's going to be really hard. But see the difficulties, strength, and grow and prosper because you were down. You can now stand up. I hope you have a blessed and fantastic day wherever you're at in the world. And I want to take time to say thank you for listening in on another episode of, I keep wanting to say Wake Up Poverty Inspires Me because that's the name of my book. And I recently changed the name of this podcast to Unleashing Your Potential because I believe that you should unleash what's already within you. It's your right. It's your duty. And I hope that you go out in the world and do it. Until next time, have a blessed and fantastic day. And thank you so much for taking the time to listen to another episode of Unleashing Your Potential.